What is a situation you have almost no sympathy with? A girl I knew from high school burglarized a house for drug money, got caught, and was sentenced to pay restitution at a low amount over the course of several years. One day she started posting on Facebook begging people for money or she would go to jail, saying the judge had decided to make her pay the rest of the amount in full right then. When I checked the court documents, it turned out she had been telling the court she couldn't afford the payments, and when her victim checked on Miss Burglar's social media, she was posting about getting her hair and nails done and a short cruise she had recently taken, and the victim lodged a complaint with the court. Posting about that part in the comments got me blocked, but I think a few people got their money back from her stupid GoFundMe. I had no chill and no sympathy for the crap she pulled, and I still don't. ETA, she raised the remaining money she owed from friends and family, so she got off scot-free with a pity story. When a parent abuses their child so much that their child eventually grows up and disowns them. I especially don't care when the parent then has no one to care for them in their old age. Had a friend whose boyfriend cheated on her like 5 times in 2 years. Always calling me at 3 a.m. crying, calling him names, and saying she is dumping him. She ended up marrying him, and the first phone call I got I hung up. You married the fool, you deal with it and quit waking me up. I work a lot with families from diverse socioeconomic backgrounds. I try to show and embody as much empathy as I can. BC, my parents were once in really tight places too, but it fucking drives me insane when a parent has money for weed and cigarettes but their child has no food after school or clean diapers. I really struggle with the idea that people are that selfish. Your kid doesn't deserve to wear diapers 12 to 14 hours at a time so you can get high. ETA, I did not expect this to get a huge response. Thank you to all who have shared stories, and those who highlighted the helpers that stepped in to fill the gaps. I just watched the Mr. Rogers video where he said to look for the helpers. I hope we all can seize the opportunities to become one when we can. Driving drunk. Actually zero sympathy with. One of my now former friends said that driving drunk is his right. He went berserk when he was charged with a DUI. He said that he went to jail because he was using his freedom wrong. No, dumbass. It's because you were putting others' lives in danger. I grew up with an alcoholic father who drove impaired 90% of the time. He almost got us killed more times than I can count. No sympathy. He's the reason why I only drink 1 or 2 drinks maybe once a year. I cheated on my wife and now she left me, boohoo sir. My sister-in-law has walked out of half a dozen jobs in as many months and now is having trouble getting hired. I used to prepare her resume for her, but I'm not anymore. I can't polish a turd. People who buy designer dogs from puppy mills then complain about the vet bills for the breed's well-known hereditary issues. People who always twist things around to victimize themselves. People who are suddenly held accountable for their actions when they thought they would get away with whatever it was. People who text and drive. Because of someone who did just that, I lost a family member who should still be alive right now. Because of the person who texted while driving, my grandpa died. He should still be here. He should have seen me learn to drive, go on a first date, attend school dances, graduate high school, and witness me turn 21, but that never happened because someone thought their phone was more important than the people around them on the road. I miss him every day and soon it'll be 9 years since he passed. Weaponized incompetence. Someone who is abusive. I can understand that people like that were probably harmed at some point in life, but that doesn't excuse maliciously using and abusing people around you. Rude to retail worker. Like I might have waived the fees if you were nice but you weren't, so $. My wife has a friend who, after her 7th or 8th DUI, finally got sentenced to a short time in prison. A couple of months. My wife was horrified. Not me. I fucking despise people who drive on drugs, even more so because I love drugs. I love getting fucked up and having a great time. I'll hit the bong all afternoon and watch cartoons, I'll do shots or chug beers with my friends. Next month I'll be seeing Tool on a whole lot of LSD. And because I've spent so much time intoxicated, I know for a fact that you absolutely should never drive a fucking car while you're doing it. She could have killed someone, including herself. Do your drugs in a safe adult setting and stay there. Or get a ride for fuck's sake. The best part? Her time in the box saved her life. She got out and got sober. Started going to a church, met a nice man, lost a bunch of extra weight. A couple years later we attended her wedding, and it was lovely. Everyone's so happy that she sorted her life out. I'm no fan of the prison industrial complex, but there are people who can massively benefit from a timeout and a stern lecture. History class at school, a boy copied and pasted his essay from Wikipedia and didn't even take the annotation numbers out, and he was old enough that he should have known way better. The teacher was a strict man and you can guess how that went. I cheated on my homework at school too, but that was just laziness. Cheaters, relationship, being exposed/confronted about their behavior. My ex. She's been divorced 3 times, is in court battles with all 3. Gets her kid taken away until she could prove she was mentally competent. Cries victim in every single situation that doesn't go her way. Struggles financially all the time but without ever getting an actual job. And refuses to admit any of this is her fault in any way whatsoever. I have no sympathy for people like this. Drinking and driving. Men who insist on not using condoms who are shocked Pikachu face when the woman becomes pregnant. People who complain about barely making it to their next paycheck and order 3 Uber Eats meals a day. That missionary guy who illegally went to the very clearly stated no outside contact island to convert people and they killed him immediately. What the fuck was the point, my dude? They don't speak any language you know, so you were guaranteed to get absolutely nowhere. Leave people alone, no one cares about Jesus as much as you do. Animal neglect and cruelty. Absolutely no sympathy from me. Abusing children. People who chose drugs over their children. I am a victim of this. Because my mother was a heroin addict and my father died when I was a toddler, I was a victim of every type of abuse known to man. I was never safe, I was always hungry and sick, and I was always humiliated by her actions. The other kids and their parents knew she was an addict, so they were not allowed to be friends with me. My only Christmas memory was her being high, falling and knocking down the Christmas tree. Pregnant women that drink/use drugs. I'm a NICU that sees the awful effects to these babies. If you want to F up your own life, then fine. Don't you dare drag an innocent child into it. People who bring infants to movie theaters. People who don't help themselves. I've watched so many people die just because they wouldn't listen to me because you're just a mean nurse. You might think I'm mean, but now you're dead. I will absolutely push you to do everything you can to get better, but you have to help too. But promoting any kind of independence to some people is mean. Bullfighters getting gored. Maybe you shouldn't have decided to torture an animal for entertainment. People who make the same stupid mistakes, thinking there will be a new outcome. Coming from someone with quite significant mental issues, I empathize but do not sympathize for people blaming bad/inappropriate behavior on mental illness. Your mental health can be a reason but not an excuse for poor behavior. If you are aware of your mental issues, you need to take the proper actions to act appropriately and/or take accountability for your actions. Yes, mental illness 10,000% affects how you think and act, but it is also your job to take accountability rather than blaming your inappropriate behavior on something that you know you have to work around. There are obviously exceptions when it comes to very serious mental illnesses that are not controllable, but if you are at that point, you should be taking steps to work on/with it to keep yourself and others safe. but at the end of the day other people should never be treated poorly just because you have a mental illness. Oh no. I shot at somebody, but now they're shooting back. Disnf. Child and animal abuse. Cheaters who cry when they get caught. Rapists and women/child abusers who paint themselves as the victim when their victim tells. When people willingly have kids knowing that they can't financially support them, or when they have kids and then don't care for them and neglect them. I had an absent father for most of my prepubescent life and I heavily resent him for it. He did not give a shit about me. Someone who started their relationship with a married person, or a person in a long-term relationship, getting treated disrespectfully/being dumped. When hurt people is used to justify bullying. I will not give a bully sympathy for inflicting pain on another person, period. People who keep crying over their situation but refuse to make any changes to make their situation better. Edit. I do still sympathize with them of course, but it just seems pointless because it ended up hurting me instead. Also, this was directed towards a very specific situation in my life, not an attack on anyone who is stuck in a rut and has actual issues which are next to impossible to sort out. I hope and pray anyone who is going through SMTH like this can come out of it stronger, whatever the situation may be. Guys who got someone pregnant but didn't wear a condom. One thing. Only one thing you had to do. As a woman who is on birth control, I would never have sex without a condom. The risk isn't worth it. But every guy I've ever hooked up with has wanted to go without. Like seriously? How are you surprised when something happens then? I'd be triple wrapping that sh*t if it were me.